A strong start to the season on Sandy Neck. The police department's new community impact unit is making a big difference on Main Street in Hyannis, and the town council will begin debating the Department of Public Works' proposed operating budget. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, June 10th, 2014. I'm Sarah Mannel. Residents and tourists are taking advantage of Barnstable's beaches. Sandy Neck Beach Park manager Nina Coleman briefed the Sandy Neck board at its meeting last night.
All right, so we had a very decent Memorial Day weekend and then a banner weekend last weekend, which was extremely busy on Sandy Neck. We were open all the way to Trail 6 for the weekend with some fabulous weather. So right now the gatehouse is open 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then we're round the clock, so there's somebody there. We're just not doing business. Curfew is 11 p.m. so folks have to be off the beach and airing up by 11 p.m. unless they have a camper. We had the concession stand was open for Memorial Day and then this last weekend, and they'll open full time starting the 21st of June, which is when our real season begins, and we'll start charging every day. I've had food almost every weekend up there. It's fantastic.
The Sandy Neck Snack Shack is open 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. Coleman also updated the board on a recent beach closure.
We have a beach closure that happened today, east to Trail 2, so we're going to be at 2 miles. I don't have any plover activity within those 2 miles. It doesn't mean that we're home free. It means we're looking good but not home free. Because when they're predated, which happens, they might move somewhere else. So, knocking on wood, we'll have 2 miles for a while. We have right now 26 plover nests on our beach. 11 are still in eggs, and the adults are incubating. We have 8 hatched, 6 predated, and 1 abandoned. So we're doing pretty well. Also, terns are nesting presently on Sandy Neck. Our closest tern nest is right around that 2 mile mark as well. So we have terns and plovers on the other side of the public beach, on the west side. Got some action in there. And then we have a big area where there's nothing going on, and then we have terns and plovers, and then as you continue, it's more and more and more and more plovers till you get to Trail 6. From Trail 6 to the point is where the majority of our nests are very dense in there. It's always that way. That's excellent habitat up there.
Up-to-date information on beach closures are available on the town's website, town.barnstable.ma.us. The Barnstable Police Department's new Community Impact Unit is making some big strides. Chief of Police Paul McDonald says it began to operate about a month ago.
Piece of the puzzle, working with NOAA, working with HAC, working with all social service agencies to better deal with the homeless problems in and around the village of Hyannis. This particular unit is dedicated to Main Street Hyannis. They work in uniforms, and they work primarily during the daytime hours to deal with any crime and disorder and homeless issues that might arise on the street.
McDonald says the number of calls for service on Main Street are drastically reduced.
Virtually since they have started, we have had no complaints. We have received no calls regarding homeless disturbances or any other problems with the homeless from the merchants. They themselves, the unit, has generated enormous amount of calls, but for the merchants themselves, they have not. I think we've had 1 or 2 calls in the last month. That's about it. But what we did recently last week is we put together a survey. We did this in conjunction with the Hyannis bid. We sent the email out, the survey, to all of the business up along Main Street, and we're trying to find out what their concerns are, both in quality of life issues and criminal activity, and what they would like to see us do so we can give better direction to the Community Impact Unit and to the Street Crime Unit.
McDonald also talked about the results of that study.
The biggest concern they have are homeless individuals drinking, loitering, and indecent activity. When I say that, urinating and fighting in the public. But I think we've seen a drastic reduction in that also. And the second biggest concern is street-level drug dealing, low-level drug dealing, where individuals seem to be coming in from other different areas around the Cape, and they literally appear to be preying on the homeless individuals up and down Main Street. So they're meeting this afternoon at 2 o'clock in the station with Street Crime Unit and with our narcotics unit to come up with a plan to deal with that. As you know, last year we brought in the state police undercover unit, and they made several buys up and down Main Street, which really made a significant difference on the crime issues on Main Street. But the other biggest thing is we're concerned. We asked them, how safe are you working and living and visiting on Main Street, Hyannis? And amazing, 82% of the respondents said they were reasonably safe or very safe. So it appears to us it's not so much of a criminal element on Main Street that's causing the problem. It's more of a quality of life issues that we have to deal with down there.
McDonald says the NOAA Shelters' new daytime hours are also making a positive difference on Main Street.
What they do, the shelter is it closes at 7 o'clock in the morning, closes for approximately an hour while they clean the shelter and they get ready for breakfast, and they reopen it at 8 or 8:30. Then anyone who wants to come back into the shelter, receive their services there, go back in the shelter. And the numbers that I've been seeing is between 21 and 28 individuals on a daily basis are using the shelter. That's huge, because if those individuals were not on the shelter, they possibly, I'm not saying they would, but they possibly would be on Main Street causing a problem. So I think it's making a dramatic impact. And plus, Duffy and Vinfin, they now know where their clients are going to be. I mean, rather than go to Duffy or go to Vinfin, they can send their caseworkers directly to the shelter and provide whatever service they need at the shelter.
The Barnstable Police Department will also be present at this Sunday's Father's Day car show in Hyannis.
We have a great deal of experience at doing that. We work very closely with the Hyannis Chamber of Commerce. They and their volunteers do an awesome job. We have a minimal number of officers there for traffic control because their volunteers do such a great job. And then we have X number of plainclothes officers just walking through crowds, make sure there are no problems. And I can't remember last time that there ever been a problem at the car show. This is a great family event, and again, this year we expect a huge crowd down there.
The car show is Sunday on Main Street in Hyannis from 9 to 2. Director of Public Works Dan Santos will present his fiscal 2015 operating budget to Town Council this week. Santos says this year's budget reflects an increase over last year.
The manager has indicated to the council and through the budget that's put forth that after a number of years of sliding budgets in Public Works, that he felt it was time to start putting some money there. And the real reason for that is being in charge of infrastructure and facilities. If we don't maintain them adequately, they degrade, and it gets more expensive down the road to repair them. It's that old adage, right? Penny wise and pound foolish, and all that.
That's right.
So it makes sense to try to keep up with these things. So overall, we're getting, I think, between all the 6 divisions here, it's about a 7% budget increase that's been proposed. It hasn't been approved yet. We'll be going before the council on Thursday with the Public Works budget. But as most of the other budgets, typically you're kind of starting at a level funded position for the most part, where we start with our requests, and then we put in decision packages or requests for additional funds based on needs that we might have that are either old and unfunded or new requirements.
Town Council meets Thursday night at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program Barnstable this morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we have our Business Barnstable segment, plus we'll talk with Finance Director Mark Milne. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.